Greetings and salutations, viewers, for the Land Stars, and time to unlock some more stories on this path of destiny.
Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Have they tried Yavin 4?
The Sky Ripper had surfaced, or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also,
Yeah, that sounds plausible.
the temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
You know, I feel the need to blow some shit up. Don't you?
Exactly. So how about we just go look for that Sky Ripper? Maybe we'll have a better luck this time.
Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This Emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the
there's
lost
just something
gods.
so terrible when a
Had
frog
he
goes bad.
somehow
Yeah, there
unlocked
really
components
is.
of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth.
I mean,
Was
look
more
what
than
happened to
enough.
Kermit.
But if you could find
Evil
the
Kermit,
weapon,
man.
Yeah.
he would use it. As he set foot on the island, Reynardo couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lupino still
Curiouser
waiting to be
and
rescued?
curiouser.
No.
At this point, I don't even
He
think I
was
really need to
probably
worry
drinking
about too
champagne
many
with the Ravens.
chests, considering
Ravens drink champagne.
Yeah.
we're maxed
rabbits.
out.
Reynardo felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Reynardo never made
Yep, all we got
plans
left
that
are
required
apples.
constant vigilance.
Well, we're-
Delicious.
yes.
Didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself
Just eat
to
all those
no
and I don't
side
even need
journeys,
them
no
yet.
rescuing old friends. That was against
Yeah.
his nature.
What's the name of that game for the Genesis? There was a roguelike for the Sega Genesis, very early one. I want to say it was Fatal Labyrinth, but it was because, like, much like the Mystery Dungeon games, you need to actually eat food in order to keep doing things. It was possible to overeat and die, which was hilarious. Secret.
Secret passage.
You never knew where the road would take you, thought Reynardo.
I
The
think
one
we
less
read
traveled?
the note here already, but
I believe we did, yeah.
that ice sword really is awesome, ain't it?
It is.
Reynardo was running out of choices. Zenobia's love brought him only sorrow. His best friend was his enemy. And the Iblis stone, he shuddered. Best not to think about it. All that was left was the Sky Ripper, a weapon powered by a god's eye. So be it then.
Is it Odin's eye, though?
Whose eye is it that shows up in friggin' Dresden Files as in WMD? I don't remember, and frankly, that wasn't the best novel I ever read. It was basically a 2-book-long action sequence, and after a while, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired of this." Everything has just been run, 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 kill, 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 run, kill, 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 run.
No.
Sliced you up like a Christmas ham. You get to live.
You, however...
Yeah, you can just, go poof. Did he just clip through the floor?
Possibly.
Man, who knew ravens could defy physics?
We're clever.
The contraption wasn't even trying anymore. As if it knew it had met its match.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, we can upgrade something. Let's see here. Slow down, you.
What's the bottom one for time?
Let's see. Hey, hold still. Time Mastery. Freeze time for everyone but Reynardo when countering an attack at the last second. Lasts a few seconds. Sure, why not? We're getting all these anyway.
I know something eventually makes it so that if you're over a certain combo threshold, you just one-hit kill things.
There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers dream
It's
anyway.
made out of
The
Walt
device
Disney's
was
corpse?
intricate.
I don't know many engineers who dream of Walt Disney's corpse specifically.
He'd have to ask a scientist.
True, that would be more
First,
Imagineers.
he'd get the second piece. Skyripper
Griffin has a couple of Imagineers
Or
books.
they'd come to rest on the next island. Well,
I mean, I half
there was
expect her to be
another
stealing
island
one of
he
the
could reach.
one or
Zenobia
any of the
had just
characters from
invaded it with her
Nintendo
father's
World
Raven
in California.
Camped there still.
When
Zenobia now.
when she got to go to it, she was absolutely on Team Yoshi. She said it was fun, but small because it's part of a larger park.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could absolutely see people being disappointed with it, but I still had fun. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So I think we need to build a full WMD.
Okay. If you build it, they will come.
It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature.
Oh, I'm sure
And
he's
the armature
fine.
was
He's a
useless
traitor
by
after
itself.
all. We know
A
this.
series of coils and wheels.
And if he isn't fine, who cares? He's a traitor after all.
Before the
Right.
end, he would have to choose the greatest
And
good, no
Rabbit
matter
is
how
probably
much
a
it cost him.
tastier meal than Fox.
Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that.
I'm now just pondering, like, what would Fox taste like? Yeah. I'd expect it to be very gamey.
Doubt sunk in before
I
he
wonder
knew
if someone has
how to
actually been
sight
crazy
the
enough to
Father.
cook a fox.
Probably.
He'd chosen the Skyripper.
To
It was the sort
Google.
of path he'd always avoided. The path of responsibility. of
I have no
fear.
intention of eating a fox.
No.
He grown up. He didn't feel grown up. He'd made this decision from his gut, like he always did. Somehow, he'd impulsively decided to stop being impulsive. Did that make any sense?
No. It makes about as much sense as baking cookies, but cooking bacon.
The word for cookie is like a loan word from Swedish, as I recall.
So are you
Like the
saying the
earth had
Cookie
ruptured
Monster
over
is
something
related
that
to
had
the
been
Swedish
fermented
chef?
for a very long time.
No, I'm saying that, like, the word cookie and the word cooking don't have the same linguistic root necessarily.
I'll just have a dash, thought Reynardo.
You didn't say the magic word. You didn't say the magic word. Oh man, I watched some reviews of the newer Jurassic Park movies recently, and oh, that's cool.
I assume that's the time slowing ability.
Yep.
Look at me, I'm the Prince of Persia in
There were
fox
fewer and
form.
fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for
The new Jurassic Park movies, I do not exactly feel inclined to watch them.
No.
Mice and rabbits. Where have they gone?
I am tempted
If
to
you
check out Shazam, though.
Was an unhealthy place.
Just because the trailer for the second one amused me.
So, God, that's getting annoying.
Hands
It's
up.
been a long time since I've read any Shazam comics, and I know they've rebooted the franchise since I bought a DC comic. So I will say that, like, the Shazam movie and the character of Billy Batson was different than what I was expecting in the first Shazam movie. But all things considered, I liked it.
Once he had sneaked into a temple,
It was
in the dark
fun.
spot, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away. Now he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus.
It was only Lapino.
Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah, that made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he
I
should go there
feel
before
like
he fights.
I feel like science is important. Like maybe we should know what this thing is before we start wielding it willy-nilly.
You know, that's fair.
Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist.
I mean, who do we think we are? Trevor Belmont?
And he had time.
Exactly, we gotta go talk
He
to
could
Bill
ask
Nye.
Elevators himself. Yes.
As much as the Castlevania series had its rough edges, I loved that final battle. I loved Malcolm McDowell as you know who.
Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now? Thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it. The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction.
Crystals.
Oop, buy a potato. We're just gonna have to do the Insane Trilogy again, just see if I can still hear that.
I mean, I'd be up for doing a 100% run of Crash Bandicoot 2, because that's the one Crash Bandicoot game I've ever 100%ed. No coincidence that it's my favorite Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah, and if we attempt 3, I can handle the cat version. I can handle, like, the cat one.
The main issue I had with 3 was I hate time trials. I hate speedrunning the stages.
Yeah.
It's not fun to me.
Yeah. Ironically, the one that I easily speedrun and got like the best score on
For a little
was the
exploration.
ones with Purra.
I like the Purra stages, not as much as I like the Polar stages in 2, but they're, same DNA, still a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also Tiger.
Also Tiger, yep.
And she doesn't turn evil, unlike Polar.
In one of the in a Crash Nitro kart, I think both Purra and Polar are brainwashed by the bad guys.
Yeah, but remember in Twinsanity, Polar was going to kill Crash with a baseball bat.
That is true. That reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons. Wait, all these people want Homer dead? No, these are his friends and loved ones. They don't want him dead. They just want him to suffer.
I mean, he works at the power plants, where he barely gets any time off and barely any pay. I would say that he's suffering enough.
He's also kind of a jackass.
That too.
Depending on this. I haven't watched Simpsons in a long time, and I have no desire to.
No.
Well, like, I remember even when I was still watching, people were complaining, like, these are the bad seasons. And now, like, 15 years after I've stopped watching, people are like, oh man, we wish the current episodes were as good as they were then.
Uh-huh.
Which I think just goes to show you that people are people wherever you go.
Exactly. I know I recently just saw a clip from, I guess, one of the newer ones where they were showing how every single character died.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's...
Homer got in a shootout outside of the bar at age 59. And then the Chief Wiggums died the exact same time by choking on a sandwich.
A couple of the Simpsons video games were a lot of fun. I'm thinking of the one that was the Grand Theft Auto ripoff and the one that was the Crazy Taxi ripoff. I know my brother and I played the Crazy Taxi knockoff one quite a bit at one point, because I think he had a copy of that for Xbox. We liked playing as Groundskeeper Willie.
I can't imagine why.
Get in! Help yourself to the lawn clippings.
And something useful. A legendary weapon.
I have
was
concert
exactly
t-shirts.
What the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Reynardo shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun.
Wait, the Foul Harvest?
No. He would stop that, Toad, no matter what the risk.
Are we saying that Beacon Pines crosses over into this world too?
He would ignore all distractions.
This is what happened after the big giant ice hole opened up. What did you say? I know what I said.
Easier than free climbing.
I feel like that was a jab at Captain Kirk.
I mean, who doesn't put a jab at Captain Kirk?
That is fair.
I've never even watched an old episode of Star Trek, and I know that Captain Kirk's a big womanizing jerk.
He's not as much of a womanizing jerk as the fandom would, as the internet would have you believe. He wasn't romancing green-skinned babes left and right, and he was generally upfront with them. Generally.
Reynardo checked to make sure his sword was still working.
That's a great description. Alrighty, what the hell does this thing do?
Gives us apples for one.
Reynardo was
All right,
thrilled.
nerds.
The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was
Apply
worried.
cursed gem A to
The
socket
Sky
B.
Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If the Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen until our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed. Irving still believes in string theory.
At least go see
When I did
Calaveras.
that one video for my old job
Toad.
about Schrodinger's cat,
About the transcendent.
the guy I was doing it with managed to work in a string theory joke.
It would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Reynardo how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base. And
I think we should ask
there with a
Calaveras.
weapon
Yeah, we
that
should
he
talk to
dared
Frog
not
Fuchsius,
use.
clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Then maybe then he can give Mallow the truth about his
He should
backstory.
have known he'd have to consult Calaveras again. The scientists
And then we can
at
attempt to
Observatory
do
were smart enough.
the rhythm
What
game
did
again.
They know of the transcendent emperor.
Or the musical
He hoped it
game.
wouldn't delay him too long. The rebels
Ah,
had
that
scheduled the final
friggin'
battle soon.
Clef. Like, we should have cottoned on to earlier how it was set up, but the game doesn't exactly lend itself to telling you, yeah, no, that actually
Calaveras would fix the
looks...
Sky Ripper for him, and then he would win the final battle.
So you two were just busy fiddling around with it, and I'm
Maybe
just
it
here
was a
like,
code.
this is fun.
But after a few steps, Reynardo's optimism started to slump. What if Calaveras couldn't help? Did Reynardo...
I loved the Mario RPG LP. Oh, it doesn't hurt that Mario RPG was like the thing that kicked off my Mario hyperfixation as a kid.
Trouble than his enemies. Some of those enemies had been friends before and might be lovers after. No, okay. It wasn't all that much simpler. No. Physics made his brain hurt. That, at least he was sure of.
I think physics makes most people's brain hurt.
I mean, you have to start with the very most basic principles and work up to the more complicated ones. My physics class in high school did not do that. We started with the EM stuff first, which you really, really shouldn't do. You should start with mechanics, basic motion stuff. Some of that stuff gets complicated, but it at least prepares your brain to think in terms of the EM things. When I took a college course in physics later, again, it was much more intuitive, because again, we started with the mechanics stuff. Physics is not my field, mind you, but...
I mean, considering your talent with cooking, it would probably be more chemistry.
I am a I maintain I am not a good chemist. I'm... Depending on what branch of chemistry you're doing, there's a lot of stuff you really absolutely need to keep track of, and there's a lot of shit you have to memorize, especially if you're getting into organic chemistry, which, good god, that's painful. Although biochem I generally did fine with. I've heard people argue that Orgo is much worse than biochem, even though they usually have you do Orgo before you take biochem. I know I took Orgo 1 and 2 before I took biochem.
Welcome to Earth.
Reynardo told the corpses. It was something he'd seen.
I was not
play.
expecting an Independence Day reference in this game.
I still have yet to see that.
You haven't seen Independence Day?
Nope.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's fun, it's fun. I wouldn't say it's brilliant, but it's fun.
He tried to focus on the now. The ravens who seemed everywhere all the time. Where did they hatch from? Were there giant raven hatcheries somewhere, or did they have families? Ooh, he didn't want to think about raven mummies raising their darling raven chicks. Yeah, Calveras would help. He would make Reynardo feel better.
Is
about
Reynardo
being Skyward.
channeling
Then
me?
Reynardo wouldn't have to worry about Raven's...
Slightly, I think.
Like, that's right up there with how do the birds work?
How do unicorns work?
Exactly. I mean, we don't even know if unicorns exist in this universe.
What? We do not.
Reynardo wondered what would happen if he jumped. Would he be rescued by an emergency platform?
So this is where you have to wear those nice springy boots, so that way you don't break your legs on impact. I killed you with the power of speed. And I don't mean the drug.
Reminds me of a conversation I had with Queen.
Huh?
Is Coke Zero your favorite, or are you just a general Coke? I mean, a fan of Coca-Cola. If you wanna hang out, you got to get out. Okay. Shit don't lie, shit don't lie, shit don't lie. Cocaine.
Said Reynardo to himself.
I really hope this is the ending I think it is. I'm going to be so annoyed if it isn't. I will know by the end of this stage if it is. Are you chasing the Sky Ripper?
Sure.
Reynardo was making himself dizzy. Fun.
Oh my! You can break dance!
Now I'm just thinking of that get down meme.
I remember seeing a meme of the Tunic Fox breakdancing, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Open, says me.
You stole my
We're
line.
counting on Reynardo. He hoped Calaveras knew what he was doing.
Maybe he really is channeling me.
You have become the game.
Does that mean I just lost the game?
Thonk.
I never got that.
Neither did I, entirely. It was very popular at my college, but...
Same.
Yeah, of course I can make it work better.
But when Reynardo explained about the strings, Calaveras grew thoughtful.
Strings.
Strings, you say? Well, the Arcana do speak of the ties that bind the world.
He drew many intricate symbols in the dirt.
Let's see, we're all made of thread, and then
according to my
Clotho sews the
calculations,
thread.
Each time you fire, I'm afraid there's a 1 in 120 chance you'll destroy the universe. That's pretty good odds. That's like rolling, what, 21 dice and they all come up 6. What are the odds of that? What? No! It's more like 2.716s in a row. Anyway, with those odds,
We found it.
No, that's not right. Each time you use it... Okay, look.
Even he's just like, knock it off.
As
No.
he sailed away from the mountain, Reynardo could see clouds darkening.
Reynardo does not understand statistics. Granted, once you get into more complicated statistics, it
Imperial
becomes the
ships
stuff of
swarming
madness.
thick as bees.
Madness.
It. The big battle.
This is
They could not afford
Stories,
to
the
lose
Path
this
of
one.
Destinies.
What if it did not go well?
Doesn't have the
What if he had
same
to
ring
use
as
the
Sparta.
Sky Ripper? Could he gamble the universe? On the other hand, what were the odds of rolling 21 sixes in a row?
I don't know, that's a good question. Do you still have your D6?
The battle was not going spectacularly well.
Let's see here. One.
Thinking.
That's a 1 in
Thinking
6.
he would bring the Sky Ripper.
That's 26.
Iblis.
Hang on a sec.
Or did he sideline Zenobia somehow? Or turn her? Couldn't he use the Sky Ripper just once? After all, if chances were 1 in 128, that meant he'd for sure be okay the first time. They'd get worse each time he used it, but the first time would be okay.
Or would that be 6
Wasn't sure that
factorial?
it was right.
Screw it. I'll
So he
figure it
didn't
out
fire the
later.
Sky Ripper. He just brought it along, in case.
Next time, bring more birds.
How about we don't? Or as my dad likes to say, let's not say we did. Take that, flag. Try and conquer me, will you?
Imagine if you built a house on one of these things. Oh, that would be amazing. It would be like having a boat.
A houseboat. But then we might run the risk of getting scurvy.
That's why you pack fruit with you.
Or just buy a shit ton of vitamin C.
Yeah, you could also do that.
Or beans.
Potentially.
Someone had told him the odds didn't change just because you'd had a streak of good luck. His gut told him that was wrong, though. And he always listened to his gut. On the other
Yeah.
128 chances to win, but one of them would destroy the universe. I
love this ending so much.
Maybe he could defeat the Emperor without firing the Sky Ripper. Maybe he could bluff, but with a real weapon. Like in cards, when you had 3 knaves, but you pretended you had a fizzbin. That could work.
The hell kind of card game is this, and can I play it?
You're just excited because he said Fizzbin. Which is like Fizzbands.
I'm excited because he said 3 knaves.
Oh, what does the fox say?
Asked one raven. Another one called back.
Oh, I'm dying. They both laughed hysterically.
That meme's pretty dead, dude. Granted, it was probably relevant when this game was made.
At my brother's wedding, because it was not long after the What Does the Fox Say song came out, my sister-in-law actually had the bridal party do an entire dance routine to that song, and it actually got recorded on video.
I was gonna say, I think I remember seeing that. I think I think you showed it to me.
Yep. My sister had to learn it at the last minute because she was one of the bridesmaids, but she couldn't make it to like the bachelorette party or anything because the whole having to travel halfway across the country and also tiny children.
Yeah.
Or at that point, tiny child, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, the other ones came later.
yeah, she only had the one at the time.
Wow, look at the size of those vases. I got apples and I don't need them right now. Hey, no, let me. Okay,
He
fine.
set up the sky
I'm not even there.
Let it warm up. He would bluff if he had
I'm over
to.
here!
Zenobia
Yeah,
came out.
just turn the camera a little
A
bit.
very daunting platoon of ravens. You won't actually use that, she said in that annoying, I know everything because I'm a cat and you know nothing because you're just a fox voice she had.
That's
Oh, I
foxist.
know the odds. Good.
That's horribly foxist.
There's a real chance you could destroy the universe. No, not the first time I use it. The odds are too low. What? No. Sure. The first time, the odds are practically nothing. Do you only go up if I use it a bunch more times? No, but that's not how odds work. You pay attention in class. Now surrender, or I'll use it. Just once, he said. Don't.
He felt sure the odds were with him. He had to go with his gut. That's what heroes do. Fire, he said. Please? The Skyripper fired. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship was up in flames. It was awesome. Then he noticed there was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger and even larger. Crates fell upwards into it, and the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror, as it poured into the ravenous hole. Ah, 1 in 128. What are the odds? No. And then everything fell into the hole. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. But he'd learned another true thing. The power was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
So we have unlocked all 4 truths. Mm-hmm. So we can potentially get the golden ending.
I mean,
Are
we
we
could.
Are we gonna go for it yet?
I don't think we need to yet, just because look at how much else we gotta unlock first.
I will say I have not seen all of these endings.
Neither have I. So what better way than to find out in the next episode? But until then, we're the Landstars saying thank you very much for watching.
Oh no, not again.